we were discussing mainly on the enterprise structure. So we have seen what is, we were mainly talking about what is the sales organization, distribution channel, and division. So enterprise structure is nothing but, like whatever is your, whatever is your actually the structure of your company, how your company operates, and which are all the locations, where all you have plants, what's your business strategy, like, how do you set up in the physically. So you try to do it virtually in the system in order to in order to proceed ahead with the transactions that you wanted to do. So this is what we have discussed mainly, like, how do you do the sales organization, distribution channel, and division. So sales organization, when it comes to the sales organization, this is the first step from a sales, from an SD point of view. Yesterday we have seen from, like, a company code and all, but for us it's mainly the sales organization that would be there. And again, plant is also not, like, that will be done by us, it will be done by the consultants, because here we don't have an and FI people that are there. So we are also doing, some part of the configuration that is required on the FI side, which is the company code settings, and again the plant settings, which is on the side, because we also need those details, because all the modules will be kind of an integrated. So from an SD point of view, the first step that we will have is setting up a sales organization, and the sales organization is our highest organizational level for the SD. From an SD point of view, what is the highest organizational level is your sales organization. Okay. And like, then again, the combination of sales organization, distribution channel, and division is called a sales area. Until here, what we have seen. Then we also saw what is a sales officer, sales group. Basically these two are like, an optional organizational units that we have, and but they're not mandatory. We also spoke about details about what is a sales office or what is a sales group, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's try to see now. Okay, in our system, yesterday we have seen the config. Okay, I think in this system I still need to set up our enterprise structure. Let me just log into another system where I have some data with me already. So here, enterprise structure, go to definition. First, in the financial accounting, I asked you to create a company code, right? So you can copy from the company code that is there. You just copy from whatever is the company code that you have, then create your own company code. The reason why I asked you to copy and create is in order to avoid certain errors that would be there. But if in case you wanted to define some without copying also, that should be well and fine. But we'll have to just explore. Initially I suggest you to copy and create, but once created, then might be like, in the, because the more you practice, the more you get better. So that's the reason why, like, in the later point of time, you don't need to copy and create. You can actually create without copying, going to the new entries here and directly creating your company code, your company, the city, currency, then giving the address details of it, and so on and so forth. You can actually give them. So this is how you create your company, let's say company code. Again, from the company code, once you create it, then I ask you to all go into the SD functions. Now you have sales and distribution. So go into the sales and distribution, define your sales organization. So you need to define your sales organization. Again, you can copy and create, or you can create anything on your own. Like, now I have created a separate sales organization. I have defined two sales organizations, TES1 and TES2. You can also just create new entries, for example, or you can just copy from this, and let's say TS3. Like, whenever you're copying it, try to copy it from the standard, which is 1000 or 0001 that you will have if you're copying, if you don't know. But for me, I have copied them from my 1000, and I have created TES1 and TES2. That's the reason why I'm using my organization as my reference in order to create your sales organization. Okay, so whenever you're creating your sales organization, whenever you're entering your sales organization, there are again, uh, there are again certain fields that you need to look into it. So inside a sales organization, once you enter here, there are some fields that needs to be filled. One is your statistical currency. This is nothing but your currency that we will be using, the currency that would be used in this particular sales organization. For example, as I mentioned, maybe in US you will have one kind of a sales organization, and Europe, maybe in US itself you will have some 2 3 or 4 sales organization based on, let's say, east, west, north and south. Similarly, in India also you can have different sales organizations. That purely depends upon how business would like to set it up. So whenever you try to copy, create it, and whenever you create here, so you can enter the kind of currency that would be maintained here. So currency is nothing but which this sales organization is dealing with, what kind of currency. So here, basically you provide, let's say whenever I go to a new entry here, if I just go to a new entry, the sales organization, you have something called a sales organization code and a description of a sales organization that you will have. Okay, code and a description. Here code, um, okay, and again the company code that we have is a 4 character. Okay, and the sales organization that we will have is also 4 character, which means the code cannot be more than 4 character that you could enter. Here it is actually showing more in this system, but in generally it's only the the length of this field is only 4 character. So you can provide any 4 character identification for a sales organization. So anything that you would like to identify based on your, again there will be some naming convention and the code convention that we will have. We will talk during the project in generally how do we make a decision. But it's just that, in like, you will be having a code. This is basically a 4 character identifier that we call it, that will be there for a sales organization, and you will give the description of that particular sales organization. Okay, what is this particular sales organization all about? Okay, where is this sales organization? Maybe Tesla sales organization 3, something like this. Like, you can provide any meaningful description of it, and you can provide a 4 character code that would be there. Okay, and the next thing that we have here is a statistics currency. What is statistics currency? As I mentioned, what is the default currency for your sales organization that would be maintained here? So whenever, like, whenever there are some statistics, or whenever there is some whenever there is some the performance, wherever there is some report that would be used, in order to understand how the sales organization is behaving, or how is that, uh, how is, like what is the performance of this. So if you have any such questions, then this statistics currency is a currency that would be used for the reporting purpose. Okay, so this will be kind of a default currency that would be there. But it doesn't mean that you cannot have your reporting any other currency. You can still have it, but whatever the currency that you maintain here for this sales organization, that becomes as a default currency. It does not mean that you cannot overwrite it. So it's just that system will propose this particular currency during any reporting, but you can still override with this in whatever the currency that you would like to check. As long as there are the conversion, the currency conversions that would be in place, you would be able to still do it. Clear? Okay. Then here we have something called a, we call it maybe the text forms that we will have. So we will have something like an address text name, the letter header text, and the footer header text, and all this. So these are something like which will be used. We will be talking about something called, the output determination. So basically, like, these are all whenever you're printing certain invoice documents, or basically your sales orders or something, and these would get copied from here to your, the print outputs. So we will talk about what all the print outputs that we will have and all, in later point of time. Basically these are kind of a text IDs that you create and maintain. Then once it is created and assign it here, then those texts will be used in your output process. So we will talk about it during more detail about when we come to the text determination or output determination, but at the moment it's not important. But just to give you, just to have an idea, we have something called S410 text that you create. There is a transaction code called S410. Again, guys, I was telling you /n and a /o. Remember what is a /n and a /o. So you will create some sort of a text here. So I'll go to SPRO that I have here. Let's say I'll go in my enterprise structure. Again, just go to the definition, then just go to your sales and distribution, define copy, delete sales organization, go to your define sales organization that you will have. Okay, let's say if you take our own sales organization TS2 that we have at the moment. So there is some sort of text that are assigned. These are the text that we have copied it from the because I copied it from the standard 1000, so I have this coming in. So whenever you copy as well, you will be, or if I copy from TES2 to TES3, these things gets copied. But but whenever I don't create anything, whenever there is no uh, the text ID is different. Okay, whenever I don't copy and create, then new entries, you need to enter this. But we will talk about it in detail when we come to something called text module. So basically we have this transaction code called S410. So in this S410 we create some text IDs and we assign those text IDs here. And during our output determination, whenever you wanted to take some printouts or you wanted to send some information, these details gets copied in those documents. Again, there has to be something called an output determination and all that needs to be done. But okay, we will talk about it in later point of time when we come to that particular topic. So here there will be some text module that needs to be defined. I'll explain in detail. At the moment, just know that this is mainly used some text IDs that would be created and would be maintained, and that particular ID would be assigned here. And later point of time, these fields will be used in order for you to copy some details in your print outputs and all, whatever the details that are maintained here. Clear? So these are the text IDs that you will have. Then you have something called a reference sales document type. So reference sales document type, again, here it is, whenever you try to create as well, whenever you try to create new entry, this will be not editable here. So basically here, let's say for example, let's say you have like whenever you're copying some sales organization and all, it gets, let's say, copied from that particular sales organization. But the main purpose of the reference sales organization that you will have, the main purpose of what is a reference sales organization is, like the field setup between one organization and another organization would be same. For example, if I go to this, because I have copied it from my 1000 here, and if I just go back to the 1000, my sales organization, my reference sales organization, so it's basically all the fields are or all the same. So I have actually copied the details from sales organization 1000 and I created it, and the statistical currency I have changed, but rest of the things I have kept it the similar way. So it's basically like whenever when you use this reference sales organization, so basically you're just you're just making sure that everything that this organizational structure has, you're using the same as your reference. Like you will be, whenever you create, I think you will be knowing in you can just see it. So like whenever you create your sales organization, for example, now I have copied my TES2 as my new sales organization that I will have. I have copied this, I have copied from 1000 and I have actually created this particular sales organization, right? So if you create this sales organization by copying from that particular 1000, then this field would automatically get populated, because like now, for example, if I create a new sales organization, copying it from my TES2, I'll copy this and I will create TES3, okay, as my new sales organization that I will have. I'll say maybe sales organization 3 and save it. Go back. Come back in. Okay, it's still taking as 1000 because that's a default. Just give me a minute. If I just create, I think it because I think 1000 was anyway was copied. Okay, it is referring to the standard one that I will have one minute. Okay, sorry. From is TES2, and I'll create a new sales organization called TES4. I'll copy everything that would be there. I'll explain about the transport request in a minute, and so once we just finish with this, so we will talk about it. Let's check now. If in case TS4 that I created, if it's taking by default, okay, it's still referring, which means like it is referring to the one that we have already referred. Like maybe because I'm copying like TS2 by copying from 1000, and again I'm using TS4 to copy from TS2, then it is taking as 1000, which means whatever is the default one, the default sales organization, the reference sales organization that has been created initially is the one that which system is taking. But okay, but just understand, if in case you have some sales organization that has been created without any reference, because you just created one sales organization that is there which does not have any details, and later point of time you use that particular sales organization to create a new sales organization to copy all the details, then this reference sales organization will be getting filled automatically. So here it will not be editable. So it's basically it gets populated with the source sales document number that you will have. Okay, so you can it gets copied here. So that is another one that you will have. And here you have something called customer intercompany billing. Here we will talk about something called what is an intercompany 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 is nothing but you have let's say two different company codes. For example, we will talk about in detail when it comes to the topic. Here I'm not talking about what is intercompany sales, what is intercompany and all. We are not talking here. We'll come to the topic, we'll discuss in detail. But at the moment, just for you to understand, so here we enter something called an intercompany customer number. So intercompany is nothing but, so whenever let's say you are whenever two company codes belonging to the same company or involved in a particular transaction, for example, let's say TCS is a company code that you have created, and you have Tata Motors also in your system. Okay, so let's say if you want to purchase for your TCS purpose, or there is a business deal that is happening between TCS and Tata Motors. Both are two different company codes. So even though they belong to Tata, they'll again, there has to be a proper invoice, there has to be a proper, because as I mentioned, the profit and loss and everything is at the company code level. So the TCS will have to show some expenses from their side, saying that okay, we are purchasing some cars because of some internal use and all. There'll be a procurement that happened from a TCS. Again, from a Tata Motors, there is a sales that is happening from there. So in that case, whenever you have this intercompany that is there, there will be a billing document also that gets generated. So both are actually, there is a customer that from a Tata Motors point of view, TCS is a customer. So there will be an invoice also that he gets generated, and there will be also payment that would be done for us, for the Tata Motors point of view. So in that case, there will be intercompany. So from a Tata Motors, TCS is a customer that is there, even though it belongs to Tata, but it's part of the same group. So both are created in the same, in the same system. You're, just imagine a scenario, but in actually to be in the very precise, let's say Tata Motors and TCS, such big organizations will not use one single SAP system. But just imagine there, a company that is there dealing with multiple business, with multiple company codes, are dealing with the same SAP system, then they will use then we will maintain something called intercompany customer, intercompany billing customer. That would be the one that would be assigned here. But we will be talking about intercompany billing process in detail, when we come to the topic in the later on the days. But at the moment, just understand this field is used for this intercompany billing purpose. Okay, but we'll discuss in detail when we come to that intercompany billing process in more detail, like how do we use this and all. Okay, if you guys have some questions, please ask. Please feel free to ask. Then we have something called sales organization calendar. Yes, someone has some
Dinesh,
question.
I have a question. Yeah.
Yes,
So this
please.
customer intercompany billing field, this sales organization will be applicable for intercompany billing only if we fill this field here, or any other place we can fill it.
No, we will talk about in detail when we come to the intercompany process. So this is one of the setting that you have for to assign for the customer that you have, but it's not mandatory. Like we have some other settings as well, but
Okay.
we will discuss when we come to the intercompany billing process. So this is not just a single one. This is like to assign something directly at a sales organization level. You can use this field in this sales organization you have let's say if you want to use only by default, you will have, I'll explain in detail, whenever in this if you have, let's say, multiple company codes to which you're dealing, let's say maybe with Tata Motors or with Tata Steel and all, then you will not be able to use this particular field. But if you have only two different organizations and by default that you want, you will be using this. But we will talk in detail when we come to the intercompany billing. These are all here. What we have is something that comes as a default, but it's not something which are kind of a mandatory setting that you need in order for you to proceed ahead with that particular process. No, these are all by default. If you want to set up something, you will set up at the sales organization level.
Okay. The meeting is recorded, right, Dinesh? Just to confirm.
It looks to be, because it has that recording. I don't know. I think Sunny would be recording it. Sunny, the session is being recorded, right?
Yes. No worries.
Yes. Yeah. It's there. Okay. Then we come to next thing. The next field that we have has a sales organization calendar. Okay. Here the sales organization calendar. What does a calendar means? For example, calendar in generally we will see also where do we create calendars and all. But here we will be assigning the calendar that would be created. What does a calendar mean? For example, let's say the plan that you have, this calendar field, not only here in the sales organization, you'll also be able to find next the next configuration step that we call like a plant, and the other configurations that we will have. So basically here the calendar that we are talking about, it's basically the operation of that particular sales organization or a particular factory. For example, I have a factory. I'm taking a plant as an example than a sales organization to be more easier for you to guys to understand. For example, you have a plant in Gujarat, you may have some plant in let's say in somewhere in Karnataka. Let's say you have two different plants. In one of the plants you wanted, the people will be working 6 days a week. So the factory calendar, you will say, okay, 6 days a week and 1 day off. Another part of the country might be it's only a 5-day week, or maybe somewhere you have some shift system. So there will be kind of planning of resources that happen. So here the factory calendar, we will be mainly setting up, the factory calendar is set up to identify which are all the working and non-working days for that particular plant or for that particular sales organization or in that particular country. So depending upon what is the working days and what is the non-working days, we will be setting up, so that this would be further useful in order to identify our delivery dates, in order to identify the shipping dates. For example, a customer, we have only a 5-day working, and the customer place an order, let's say Friday late evening, he places an order on a working day, and he would like to expect the delivery. Maybe we would say like 1-day delivery that would be there from a part. But if in case the plant itself does not operate on a Saturday and Sunday, for in the next confirmed day would be only Monday, because the next working day is Monday, right? So if in case the Friday, so you will be setting up some factory calendars. There'll be calendar that will be set up, and that particular calendar will be used further to identify, okay, which days we will be working, which days will be non-working. But we will see in the later on how do we set up a factory calendar in the later maybe in like in coming days, to see where do we set up a factory calendar, how do we set up and all. But the factory calendar that would be created in the other setting would be assigning here for this particular sales organization what is the factory calendar that you will have. So you will have a factory calendar that would be created and you will just assign it there. Clear? See, similarly, the factory calendar will also be assigned at the plant level and the company level and all. So we will, you can see this particular setup that would be available. So here, the factory calendar here is talking about this sales organization, what is its working days and non-working days, and it is mainly talking about a sales organization. Maybe another sales organization will have another factory calendar if in case the work days are different there. So by default, I have taken it as 01 at this moment, copying which is from the standard that we have here. But later point of time, we will actually see in detail, let's say creating our own factory calendar, and how do we assign our factory calendar back here, we will see in the later point of time. Okay, then here we have something called a rebate proactive. Okay, there is a checkbox called a rebate proactive. So okay, so basically, like I'm just giving you a very brief idea here. If in case you don't get complete details, it's absolutely fine at this point of time, because the customer intercompany billing and all, sometimes it might be confusing. So it's okay, no need to worry, because we will go in detail of the topic. Even the factory calendar, just understand why it is being used. You don't need to think through so much, like okay, where do we create that, all we will cover as part of the course, so you don't need to worry. Similarly here, the rebate. So basically, rebate is a concept that we have. For example, I'll just explain a high level concept, so that next time when we talk about, you will be able to relate it. So rebate, in generally what happens, there will be kind of a any company in the B2B scenario, what they will have is, so they will have some targets that needs to be achieved by, like there will be there'll be some sort of a target. For example, a company would say to a customer, boss, if in case you place an order maybe with us of let's say 1 lakh pieces, so we deal with certain product, maybe let's say a cars that we are dealing with. So if we will enter an agreement with another company saying that if you order from us some 10,000 cars in this financial year, then you will be eligible, apart from the price that we spoke about here, you will be eligible for an additional discount of 10% if you make a sales in this particular year, like of let's say some 1,000 cars, or from your company. Whenever you place an order, then you will be eligible, or not eligible, you will be getting an additional a 10% discount on whatever the price that we negotiate, if you achieve this particular target. So there will be some sort of a target that we say, okay, or if you place an order of let's say 10 lakh worth of goods in this financial, it's not the financial year, it can be date, can be anything based on the negotiation that we happen, say between this date and this date, if you actually sell so much of stuff, then or if you buy so much of stuff, then I'll give you so much additional discount. So this happens, like let's say now I say 1,000 cars, and if in case it does not achieve that particular target, then you will not pay that particular amount to the customer. If you achieve the target, then you will give, and whatever the sale that happened, maybe it's 10 lakhs, so you will give 10% of 10 lakhs, which will be 1 lakh. So we'll talk about that. Is the basic concept of a rebate. Okay, that's a basic concept of a rebate, but we'll talk in detail how do we do the rebate concept and all. But here we are mainly talking about, so this is one of the prerequisite fields in order for you to activate the rebate. So only if in case this rebate proactive is checked, then this sales organization is eligible to give such rebate. So if in case the sales organization does not have any rebate concept, then this will not be checked. So this is one of the prerequisite. There are other prerequisite steps also in order for the rebate concept to be active in the system. This is one of the prerequisite fields that you will have. So if you check this, then the rebate, this sales organization is eligible to give rebates to the customers. But we'll talk about in detail about the rebate process in the in when we come to the topic. Clear? Okay. So next we will be just going ahead with the here we have again the ALE for data for the purchase order. Here we will be mainly talking about the purchase organization, purchasing group. This is mainly useful in terms of some ALE. It's mainly useful in terms of we will have some some IDOC concept and all. We will talk about in detail in the later point of time. At this point of time, we can just park it. So I will explain in detail when we come to the topic, because these are at least the conceptually you could understand it. But here I would say, because this is mainly related to the purchase order and so on and so forth, because it would require some other concept also that we need to set up, post which you will be able to understand in much more details. At this moment, just park this. Don't worry about this particular settings that we have here, but we will we will come back. We'll come when there is actually a topic that comes here on this. Okay, this is how you create it. So at this point of time, whenever you guys create anything, my suggestion for you guys, initially is always go into this. Don't go directly into the define. Always copy, delete, check, then copy from a standard, maybe 1,000 that you have. 1,000 will be the standard, but I have something called I have copied from 1,000, so copy it from here, TS4 or S6, whatever is. Copy from an existing sales organization to your new sales organization. Okay, this is the copy button that we have. Okay, copy it and say okay. You want to copy things, you want to copy number ranges, say okay. And whenever there is a pop-up, now here this is called a customizing request that you have it. So you save it in the customizing request, that system that will come here. Okay, once you save it in the customizing request, we'll just talk about this customizing request and so on and so forth. I don't know why is it taking some time. Okay, it just copies. Now go back and define sales organization. And guys, when you are practicing, I am copying something from a TES2 and all in your system that will not be available. Okay, you need to copy it from 1,000. Okay, from 1,000 or 0001. Always copy it from the 1,000, which is a better one. So you copy it from the 1,000 and you create your own, not the one that I'm just giving, because I had copied from the one. I'm just using that. And again, go inside and change your naming convention. Whatever is your naming convention, change it. Then change your currency if you want to activate rebate or not, if in case your sales calendar is different. Okay, then go to the address, click on this last icon that you have your address, and you maintain your actual address of your sales organization, country, the street name, the house name, the postal code, the time zone, post office, language, telephone. All this is basically the details of your sales organization. Where exactly is this particular sales organization? You'll have these details. So you maintain these details, click OK here, copy here. You have this checkbox that you have. If you check this, it becomes copy. Then you can save the entries. So once you save it, then it gets saved. Again, it pops up for this customizing request. Now I will be talking about what is this customizing request and how do you create your own. Here you have an option called create request. Okay, you can click on this create request. When you create request, it will ask for a pop-up to create your own request. So you can give some description of this and you can click on this save, then it saves in the request. Or if you already have created, then you can click on this own request. Under my name, there are actually 3 different requests that are there. So I can select whichever is the request that I wanted to save it, and I will be using this. Okay, this is how you can save it directly, creating from there or not. But you also, what you can do is, I'll explain. There is a transaction code that we have called, we have 2 transaction codes. SC10 is one of the transaction codes that we have. Go to this particular code called transaction code SC10. So in this SC10, what you can do is, here you will have your user ID popping up, and in terms of, let's say, in terms of the transport request that we have here, there are kind of two different kind of transport requests that you need to understand. One, we call it as customizing request. Okay. uh, and all our configuration, all means I would say 98% of our config, there are some configurations which are not customizing request. I'll explain what are those configurations which are not customizing request. But like at the moment, all the functional whatever we do in the background in the img screen, okay, you can say they're all customized, they are all saves in something called a customizing request. So customizing request is a request where all your configuration gets saved. Not all, might be like, you know, there are something called access sequence and condition tables, we'll talk about it, which does not save in a customizing request, which needs a workbench request. But most of our configuration, what we save is a customizing request. Okay. And whatever the ABAP consultants do, whatever the ABAP team do, will be saved in a workbench request. So customizing request is used by the functional teams to save it, and workbench request is used by the ABAP team to save their code. Clear? Anything that you save is part of a customizing request. Anything that the ABAP saves, the program and all what they save, is part of a workbench request. Okay. And what is the difference between customizing request and workbench request? A customizing request, whatever I'm just saving now, as I said, is a customizing request that you will have. This customizing request, now if I just go display, I have so many. This customizing request, that this is a request number, this is a unique number that gets generated in the system. This customizing request, whatever I have in the system, is client dependent. Client dependent. What is a client dependent? Now if you try to log into your first screen, you know, you can see this particular thing called client, right? I have, whenever I'm trying to log in here, I have something called 800 as my client. So in the real time, as I mentioned, you will have different client numbers that would be there. Let's say for all our you know, for like, you know, okay, maybe I'll just explain before that. We had you know, we spoke whenever we were talking about you know, whenever we were talking about the system, we have spoken, let's say we will have minimum we will have in the system landscape, we will have minimum 3 different kind of servers is what we spoke about, right? Where is the system landscape? Okay, in the system landscape there will be kind of 3 different kind of servers is you know, okay, system landscape. So you will basically have minimum that would be have development system, quality system, and you will have production system. So development system is where you do all your configurations. I don't know, it has to be here somewhere, I wrote it right. Okay, development system is where you do all your configurations and customizing, and quality system is where you will do the testing, integration testing, and configuration customizing, and let's say unit testing that you will have, customizing and unit testing. Unit testing is your own module, only SD that we will test. We will test only our functionality that we have developed and that we have configured. Quality, you will do integration testing. Integration testing means we you know, with other modules. When we come to the project, I'll talk about in detail about integration testing and all, but you will do something called integration testing. And once the integration testing is done, you will do user acceptance test. And in the production system, you will actually the end users will work on the production system, and you will be responsible in order to solve the IT issues if in case they have some there are some issues, and users would work on, right? The real production is where you do real business scenario. Now this is a bit, in some of the companies you will have development as separate, then you will have a separate system for your integration testing, and then another system for your UAT, user acceptance test, then you will have a pre-production system, then a production system. That can be like, you know, there can be multiple ways, we'll talk about it in detail later. So basically here we have development system, quality system, and production system. These are all called servers that we call it, and these are all called kind of servers. So we have minimum, we have minimum 3 different kind of servers that we will have. One is a development server, quality server, and a production server. And these servers are subdivided. Servers are subdivided into clients. Clients is nothing but you're breaking down the servers. So in generally in quality and production, you will have only one server that would be there. You will not have multiple servers that would be there. Even in production there will be kind of one server, but there are multiple servers from a basis to access it, but it will be the same number. You will not log into different servers, but it will en route to different servers. We have something in the basis that they do it, but that's not important for us. But as of now, you just imagine, so you have only one server in the quality and one server in the production. But in the development system, what happens, you will be in most of the, in many business scenarios, the minimum that you will have in a development server would be 2 clients. 2 clients would be the minimum one that you will have. So you may have in the real time maybe a client, uh, let's say 010, or maybe a client 100, where you do your development and configuration, and you have another client called let's say 400 or 200, 400, where you do your unit testing. Okay, so minimum there will be 2 different kind of clients in the server. Clients are nothing but again subdividing the server into multiple places, or might be you have one for development, another one for some golden configuration client that we call it, another one for the unit testing. And also you can, that's again during the project preparation we will be discussing how we wanted to have our landscape. But the minimum in general the development that you will have is one for the development and the configuration, another one for the unit testing. So you will have clients. So here, if for us, the client that we have in our system is 800. So we don't have multiple clients. So you have a client called 800 that is coming in here. So basically here, what we are talking about, so whenever, whatever the configuration that we do, whatever it is saved in this customizing request that we are calling the customizing request that we will have, it is client dependent. Okay, customizing request is client dependent. What is client dependent means, the configuration that you have done in this system will be only in this 800 client. If you want to move from this 800 client to another client, if in case that is there, you cannot move it. Okay, I mean you can, it directly does not applicable. I mean it does not change automatically in the other client. So you will have to go to that login to other client. We have some transaction code, we'll talk about later, where you manually move from one client to another client, which means whatever you do here is only this client specific. Okay, it's only client specific instead of client dependent. Maybe I'll just call it as client specific. Okay, so which means whatever the configuration you have done is only applicable in that client. Then if you want to do the unit testing, then you'll have to move all your configurations from client 100 to client 400, all your customizing activities, all your configurations that you do. But the ABAP one, anything that you save in a workbench request that you have here, anything that you save in a workbench request, or here as of now there is nothing, like whatever you save in a workbench request is client independent. What is client independent? Which means you do a change in one client. Let's say I have done some change in client 100. The code is automatically available in client 400 as well. You don't need to move from client 100 to client 400. Whatever you do here, it's directly there in the other client as well. But the customizing request, whatever you save, you have to do in the 100. In the later point of time, once all the configuration is done, you will have to move to the 400. But anything that you save in a workbench request is automatically applicable at the server level. So this is at the client level, workbench is at the server level that you will have. But to move from development to quality, from quality to production, you will have to move the transport request. But between clients, you don't need to move the transport request. So it is workbench is client independent, and this is client dependent that you will have customizing request. And whatever we do is in the customizing request, except some settings. Whatever the ABAP do is completely in the workbench request that they will have. Okay, so these are all the two different kind of requests that we will have in the system: customizing request and workbench request. So whenever you wanted to do, as I mentioned, saving, you can directly create an entry there, or you can directly create from here as well. Come to this customizing request, click on this create, and say, okay, which one you want to create. You would say, you can say, I want to create a customizing request. Then you give your description of your, it's the same screen that pop up that comes. You will say, you give your company code name and your description of it and something, and save it. Maybe I'll say test SD team, just simply like that. I'm just giving some description just for you. I save this. Okay, I have this a new customizing request that gets saved here. Okay, and whenever there is a customizing request that gets created, you have something called a TR number that gets generated here. This is your TR number. Then you have your client, who is a user that is using it, and what is the description of it. And inside this TR, you will have something called task, and you can have multiple tasks that is there. What is the use of this task? How can you add more users and all? We will discuss later. But there will be a TR and there will be a task associated to this. There can be multiple tasks that can be associated in a transport request that would be there. But okay, that's for the later point of time for the discussion that we will have it. But okay, every TR will have a header, and it's like you can say parent child ratio. Okay, this is your parent TR. Under that, you have so many child tasks that would be there. So there can be multiple tasks based on the let's say the like based on the users that you will have. Because in generally what happens, let's say someone, we are an SD team that is there. Okay, we are all part of the SD team. Now we need to do a configuration. Might be one of you is working on creation of a sales organization. Another person is working on creation of some distribution channel. So you have multiple people working on multiple different areas of an SD. So in that case, if everyone creates their own TRs, then it will be very difficult in order to consolidate everything in the end. So what it happens is, in generally we will only get created only one transport request that we will create. One of your heads or something, or get created your transport request for all the organizational unit. We will say, okay, this is a transport request that you need to use. And all the persons in our team, we have now, let's say we have 4 different persons in this call. So we all, what we do is, we all will have our own task created under this TR. So you have option here, add user. Select this TR, click on this add user, then you can click a new user. Maybe I will add a new user called okay, I have another user, maybe this one. Okay, so in the same transport, the tasks are getting added. So maybe apart from this, there is one more user I would like to add, might be 15 in this particular TR. So everyone, so whatever you save will be saved under your task. Whatever I save will be under my task. Whatever the other person saves will be under his task. And but they're all part of the same TR. So whenever they move the TR from one system to another system, one client to another client, all the changes gets moved. Okay, clear? And this is how we create it. And when we go to the whenever we save it, then system will give us a pop-up, okay, which TR to save it. Then you select your TR and save it. Now we were using something called a new test. Now we saved all your configurations and all, right? Now for example, if I go in this TR, under this task we have just created something new. There is nothing that is saved. But if I open the other one that we have created here, you can see the task again has another also has some further drill down. If I just go inside here, then it says, okay, here I have defined my copy change sales organization and I have defined my company code. So these are all the 2 activities that we have done at the moment: company code and the sales organization. So system is showing what has been done here. And if you further drill down, again you will get is details, what is that you have saved here. Because what are all the tables that got updated because of the change that you have done. Because I copied and created it, there will be a lot of tables that gets updated in the system. All, so what is the address details, what gets saved in this particular address. So everything would be having a particular code number gets generated, and all the details that we have created would be visible here. Now at the moment I have created two, in this 800 client I have created two sales organizations called TES3 and TES6. That's what appears here in my sales organization. If I just go to my company code, and if I see in my company code details, okay, then it will just tell me, what are all that is getting saved. You can further drill down to see, okay, which are all the tables that are getting updated and so on and so forth. But it's okay, like, we it's just for you to understand the transport, how it getting saved in the system. Okay, so every task will be getting saved, and there will be a TR and a task that gets saved in the system here. So you have a transport request, then you will have uh, a task inside this. Now whenever you want, come to this transaction code called SC10, click on this new entry, select the customizing request, click on this new entry, then you will be able to see your particular TR. And once it is there, when you try to create, whenever you try to, let's say I'll try to just simply for the sake of doing again for the one more time, I'll go in this enterprise structure. Yes, someone logged me out. Just move. So you log into this system, SPRO, like if I just go to enterprise structure definition, guys, this is, first time you are guys seeing, so we'll be discussing in detail for the first time. But in the later point of time when we're doing it, we will not go like this, because you will be already aware about this transport request and all. So we will not talk about, when we try to create it in the later point of time. But for the first time, it is important for you to know. So we're just explaining in detail here. So now let me just go to, let's say I create just, just to show one more time, I'm just creating something called a new TS7, just just to see. Okay, something, then I try to save it. When it asks for a pop-ups, you can, whenever you click on this own request, if in case you have created, then now see I have created 4 different customize. You can see here, this is a customizing request. So now we have this new one that we created, but before that I had another ones also that I have created here. So all the things that pop up, you select whichever the transport request that you wanted to use. Now I selected the new one that I created, test STT, then you click OK. So when you go back to your transport, now in your transport system that you will have, then this new TES7 will be getting saved in that particular new transport request that you will have. Clear? Okay, so that's how the transport request, workbench request, and the customizing request that you will have. So we have created something called a sales organization. Then same way, we will copy and create our own distribution channel. You can copy and create your own distribution channel. As I mentioned, you can have a distribution channel like distributors or direct sales or your wholesalers or your exporters, like that. You can have multiple. So you have you can have your own code, because again, in your demo system, just make sure that you use a code which is not existing. For example, if I try to use a sales organization that is existing or a distribution channel that is existing with this code, then system will say that is already existing with the same key. You use a unique key. Description can be same, there is no problem, but this key has to be unique. Okay, again, the company code and the sales organization, the key is the 4 character that we will have, and the distribution channel and the division that we will have will be a 2 character that you will have. Distribution channel and division would be of a 2 character. So once you define your sales organization, you go to your distribution channel, you create your own key. Maybe here I'll go to, might be you can copy and create, or you create your new entry. I would say simply something called, okay, this is also say mm, okay, YP does not exist. I'll create something called YP. I would say wholesalers, or maybe just Tesla dealer and I will have one more thing called maybe my, not there, and I will use something called direct sales. As I mentioned, it is basically what is that, distribution, from what kind of a, what is that a medium that you're using to sell your goods. So you can have your own medium, like, you wanted to sell the, are you selling the goods from the dealers, are you selling the goods from, let's say, from your or directly to the customer. So whatever is your medium is a channel or a distribution channel that we call it, where we save where we use it. So you save this distribution channels to create. It's a 2-character, and you can give a description of that as well. But the code of it is a 2-character code that you will have. Similarly, you can define your own division. We also spoke about division, what division that your product falls into. To define your division, it won't be in the sales and distribution. Just go here in the definition, expand this logistics execution. Here you have define copy, delete, check division. Click on this and you can define your division. Maybe I will define same divisions called, you can copy and create. So maybe I'll have something called Y, I don't know, it was YM that I created, or YP. Okay, let's say I created something called a YP. I will call it, might be, let's say, cars. Let me see if in case YC is there. Okay, YC is there. So Tesla cars, and I will have something called YM. I'll call maybe whatever the company. So whatever, it's like, cars and motorcycles. If there are two different products that you deal with, I'm just mentioning, Tesla cars or Tesla motorcycles, whatever it is. Because in the real time, you can actually use with the right names. But here, it's a demo system that would be there. Many people will be also, creating in parallel to you. So, sometimes if it is not unique, you will not find those naming convention. But in the real time, because that's your own system, you will define your own thing. So it's up to the business what naming convention that they would like to use. Okay, now save this, copy division as well. So for you, what is at the moment, what is important is you define your company code, you define your sales organization, you define your distribution channel, you define your division, then you need to define our plans. This is again, uh, in the real time, distribution, sales organization, distribution channel, sales office, sales group, and division are part of HD that you will have. Plant would be defined by the MM consultants, and company code would be defined by the FI consultants that you will have. And if you want to assign different companies, as I mentioned, at the client level, then you have this defined company. So you will have company, under company you will have company code, under company codes you will have sales organization and plant and purchase organization and so on and so forth. Again, you'll have distribution channel and division, sales office. These are inside the part of the SD, I would say. And plant, purchase organization, storage location, all this is actually part of the our MM team. Okay, so here define copy, delete, check plant. You click on this. So here you can define your own plant as well. You copy and create, as I mentioned initially, please copy, delete, copy from an existing one and do it. Later point of time, once you are used to the system, then you can create on your own and see it. So you can define your own plant, maybe TEP1, I guess. You can define your own plant that you have. So you give your plant details, you click on the new entry, then you give your plant code. Again, plant code is a 4-character that you will have code, and you give the name of the code, what is the language, what is this address. You click on here, just enter here the plant name and the code and the name. Then same way you have a factory calendar that we already discussed. So you assign your factory calendar, then you give your details. Okay, what is the name, what is the street name, the postal code, the language, and so on and so forth, all the details of that particular plant. in the sales organization, that factory calendar that you assign is specific to that particular sales organization. The factory calendar here is specific to this particular plant. In this plant, what is the working hours and what is the work days is that you will be defining here in this factory calendar for the people working in this particular factory. Okay, so you define that and you save your details. So this is how, what is the base that is required from an organizational structure for you is you define your company code, define your plant, sales organization, distribution channel, and division. Sales office and sales group are optional. If you want to define, define. If you don't want to define also, this is not a problem. Okay, so you define your sales details, then you do an assignment. So there it is only defining the stuff. So you said, okay, there is a company code, there is a sales organization, but you have not assigned them together at the moment. They're all just independent. Now you need to group them together, in order for you to to do your particular flow. So you wanted to group. The reason why we are also defining plant and company code, because to create any of our further data, we would require them. For that, this assignment is what that plays an important role. So here there are different assignments that we need to do. First assignment that you understand, once you define your sales organization and your company code, what you come is, again, come to this IMG enterprise structure. Instead of definition, go to the assignment, go to the sales and distribution again inside this, and again click on the first assign sales organization to company code. Click on this. Then here you don't have anything new entry because you would have already had a sales organization created. Now I have created a sales organization TES 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and all, right? See, TES 3, TES 7 and everything is there. So you define the company code that you have defined, assign them to your sales organization as well. So here you need to assign your sales organization to your company code. So which means this is an assignment which says, okay, this company code, okay, this sales organization, okay, which means it is mainly talking about, okay, the relationship, this company code, this sales organization belongs to this particular company code that you will have. Now you save it. And always remember, in one company code, okay, in TEBH, I can have multiple sales organizations, TES2, TES3, TES4, TES6, TES7. But one sales organization can exist only in one company code. Now, for example, I'll try to take, okay, here I don't have even option to create something new, right? Okay, but there is no option as well, but in some things I'll show in another one. Here there is no even option at the moment, so you cannot assign TES2 to any other company code up, that's there. It can be assigned to only one company code. So you cannot have multiple company codes assigned to the particular sales organization, but one sales organization, one company code can have multiple sales organizations. Okay, once you define it, assign your company code and your sales organization that would be there. Then assign your distribution channel to your sales organization. Now we have defined, let's say, 2 distribution channels, right? Let me just quickly check what's my 2 distribution channels that we have defined. It's YM and YP, I guess. One is a YP, YP and blah blah blah, MP, I guess, right? MY or something like that. YP and MY. Okay, YP and MY. Now you have defined something called a YP and MY. So I'll just keep this open for me to refer it in a better way. So I'll just go, I'll create a new window, which is which can be with your /O or a /O. Just get in here, you go here, go to your enterprise structure, go to your assignment, go to your sales and distribution, then you assign your distribution channel to your sales organization that is created. Now here it's not because in one sales organization you can have multiple distribution channels that could be there. So you just click on this new entry, click on your let's say sales organization, might be 3 that you have. Then you assign your distribution channel, which is your, let's say, MY and something called TES3. I have another distribution channel called what is that, YP. Okay, you assign your sales organization and distribution channel. Okay, then come back, then you assign your division to your sales organization. Now we have also defined our divisions. So here basically whatever you have defined, you're making a relationship between them. Again, to see a division, you need to go into logistics general. Here you would have defined a division. uh, I don't know if it's this. No, I think it's YP and YM. YP and YM. Yeah, YP and YM I have defined. So you go to the new entry, you give your newly defined sales organization that you will have. Then you assign your YP, one of your sales organization, and again sales in the sales organization, another division that you have, which is YM. Okay, you assign your division to your sales organization here. Okay, at the moment what we have done, so we have created sales organization and all distribution channel division. Here you assign your sales organization to a company code, your distribution channel to your sales organization, and your division to your sales organization. Then set up a sales area. So what is a sales area? As I mentioned, the unique combination of sales organization, distribution channel, and division is called as a sales area that you will have. So you go to this particular sales area, click on new entry, then you maintain TES3 is one sales organization, then you have MY, then you have which is a division, you have YM. This is one unique combination that you have. Then again TES3, MY, and you have another division called YP. So this is another unique combination. Again TES3, now instead of MY you have YP, and you have YM. This is another unique combination. TS3, then you have YP, and you have YP. This is another unique combination. So all, whatever the sales area that you would like to use, all the unique combinations that you will have, you should have an entry. Now because we have two distribution channels and two divisions, you will have all this combination that is there. Now let's say I have TS4, TS5, TS6, multiple sales organizations, and where all these distribution channels and all these divisions are using or being used, then you will again repeat this entries. It's again like in this sales organization, if you have this distribution channel being used, and if in case this division is being used, then you will assign. That's again up to the business what they would tell us, and we will be creating the entries accordingly. But you will have to understand, if in case they use everything, then there has to be all the unique combination that would be maintained here. So the combination of a sales organization, distribution channel, and division is called sales area. Okay, so you set up your sales area that would be there. Then here you have an optional assignment, which is nothing, assigning your sales office to your sales area and sales group to your sales area. This is an optional one. If you define your sales office and sales group, then you come and assign your entries as well here. But this is called a sales area. Then you have something called a sales line. The combination of sales organization, distribution channel, and plant is called as sales line. Remember this terminology. The sales area is unique combination of sales organization, distribution channel, and division. Someone will ask, what is sales area? Then you would say, okay, it's a combination of sales organization, distribution channel, and division. What is a sales line? It's a combination of sales organization, distribution channel, and plant. So you come here, the unique combination that you have of your sales organization, TS3, that you will have, and your distribution channel, let's say YP, and I have my plan called TP1. Your combination. This is your sales line. Maybe TS3. Then I have something called YP, and what is another one? Yeah, MY. Yeah, and a plant. So this is your another unique combination of sales line. So you assign your sales line as well here. Okay, at the moment this is the organizational structure that you need to know. We will again further deep dive. uh, okay, again we have something called creation of storage locations and all. When you copy and create, it would just copy automatically. Again, it will be done by the consultants in the real time. In the material management, they will have something called purchase organization and all, they will assign. And you will have where is my, okay, I'm in the assignment part, sorry. So here, if I just go to the logistics general, where is it, material management, yes, maintain storage location. So here, in a particular plant, they will be maintaining directly a storage location. Here, in generally, we will first define them and we will assign them together. But for a storage location, it's directly in the definition is what that would be maintained directly, not in the assignment part. But we will talk about it later. And we'll also see when we come to you will also be learning as part of this course something about some details about the company code, some details about purchase organizations, and so on and so forth, because we need them also to be defined when we come to some topics like intercompany, stock transport order, third party process and all. We would need that combination as well. We will learn it, we'll define when we are learning it. But at the moment, the base that you need to know is you need to define your company code, then you need to define your sales organization, distribution channel and division, then do the plant, then do the relevant assignments in your assignment part in the enterprise structure. Clear? Okay, good. So apart from this, in the SD, we have something more as well. Like, this is part of your, let's say, your sales point of view, what is required. But again, from a logistics point of view, we have something called shipping point. That is important because that is something that we would need to understand from a delivery point of view. There is something called a shipping point and all. We will talk about it in tomorrow's class about that. So we will be able to finish with the enterprise structure and we'll start with something called a master data from tomorrow's class. Clear, guys? Any questions?
Yeah, Dinesh, I have a question. So the factory calendar for
Yeah.
plant and the calendar for sales organization.
Can you maybe come? Can you please come closer to the mic? I'm not able to hear you properly.
Audible now?
Yes, okay. It's better. I think it's better. Tell me.
Okay, so I just want to know if the factory calendar of the plant and the calendar of the sales organization, do they have to be like in sync or almost the same values for them to function properly?
For the factory calendar in the sales organization, could you?
Yeah, the factory calendar of plant and the calendar of a sales organization.
No. They should not. They cannot be, right? Because let's say in the factory, people will work maybe 6 days a week or 5 days a week, but the sales organization, the sales people may work only 5 days. Like for example, in our organization, might be some people like who are doing some IT support can be working like 7 days a week. Maybe they need some support, but might be from a sales point of view, they only work 6 days or 5 days a week. So there is no relation that needs to be maintained or in sync. That you need to maintain the same combination. The reason why we have different codes that are maintained, because it's all unique. The factory will operate in a different way, the plant would operate in a different way, whereas your sales organization people will work in a different way with a different calendar or with the different dates. And again, your holiday calendar also matters. Maybe the sales organization is in Karnataka or somewhere in south, where the holiday calendar would different. So we will have some extra holidays, just taking India as an example. So we have some different holiday calendar when we compare to the people somewhere working in Gujarat or somewhere in the north, because they will have uh, let's say they will have some so they will get more holidays maybe during Diwali or during, let's say, Ganesh Chaturthi, something like that. And here you will get holidays more towards the other festivals. Like, just giving a very high level example, not to take any festival the way, but based on the location where it is located, your calendar would be different. It will not be the same calendar, it will not be the same working hours that you will be assigning. So you don't need to maintain anything unique, anything same. It will be always unique. That would be there.
Okay.
Okay. I will also show you, we'll also talk about the factory calendar. How do we, where do we define and all. Might be during that time you will get some better idea, because now if we talk about it, we'll just divert from what we are doing. So it will be just, mix of things. So that's the reason why I did not show you. But but yeah, we'll also see where do we create a factory calendar and how do we maintain it and all.
Okay, okay, sure.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right. If no questions, then we will stop for the day.